Alright, welcome back to New Game Plus, where I'm continuing on my journey to try and better my physical and mental health and really starting a new life. And for today, after last week's foray into some more specifics about physical health and my diet, we're going to be talking now about back to mental health and getting into some specifics on therapy. And so the title for this one is Mind Quest, again with my stupid gaming related names I came up with for the series, but I like this one. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about therapy, delving into sort of a bit of how it's been going for me and some of the things that I have learned during it. Now, I had already mentioned in our first generalization video about my mental health that I had been going to therapy ever since this whole process started with coming back from that rock bottom point. A major part of the healing process for me has been regularly going to see a therapist, which is going to be real interesting for me because my therapist knows about these videos and I know they watch them, so hi. But yes, that's been a very key aspect to me getting better and to being at the point where I am now. And I think one of the most important parts about that, and one of the most important parts about therapy in general, in my opinion, is having that neutral third party to talk to. Someone who, you know, isn't going to make any judgments about you. They're not thinking ill or anything like that. They're just there to listen, to give advice, point out things that maybe you missed, and to, well, like I said, just have someone there for you to talk with, which is something not everyone has. Even if you do have close family and friends, it can be very difficult to talk about issues you are having, especially when it comes to mental illness, and it's an issue a lot of people have. So having that, again, neutral third party is, I think, such an important thing. And as I said before, a big plus with that too is they can help point out things that maybe you didn't realize. And that's one of the things I had mentioned in the generalized mental health videos, that my therapist had made me realize I actually had more problems that I needed to deal with than I had thought, which was kind of a terrifying thing to realize, but was also good because I didn't know about those other issues. And if you don't know about them, you can't work on them to try and get better. So even though it was terrifying to learn that I had even more, I needed to know that, because now I can look towards how to work with those things and integrate them better in my life. And it's something that's been an ongoing process. Just at our last session that we did, they pointed out something else that I had never thought about in my own journey to that rock bottom point that I did hit. You know, I had talked about in the past that just some of it was my own mental illness that just was there. Some of it was things that occurred that built up and kept occurring that got things worse, but there were some things that were of my own doing, and that they pointed out that, well, have you ever thought about self-forgiveness? And that's, no, I hadn't. I knew that there were issues, that there were things on me, but I had never thought about forgiving myself for that and working towards that forgiveness. And again, if you don't know these things, you can't work on them. And that's something I am now working on, and it will help me on my journey to getting better. And another thing that I've been learning, and that's been quite important, is trying to change a bit about how I think and how I perceive things. So for instance, you know, if you talk about needing to do something, there we go, I just lost my train of thought there for a second, something that you need to do, you know, you don't want to say to yourself, well, I hope I'll get to it, because, well, then you're not really setting down any solid plans, you're hoping for it. You also don't want to say to yourself that you need to do it, because if you don't, that can end up making you feel guilty. You just need to get into a mindset to do the thing. You don't want to hope, you don't want to need, because those are two negative ends of thinking about things. One is just, it may not happen, and the other with that potential for guilt. You just need to do it. And that's been a hard mindset for me to change too. I've usually been more of the, I'll hope I'll get around to it sort of a kind of person. And I also did find it amusing. I didn't think about it at the time when we were talking about it in session, but my dad has also given me that similar advice, at least on the hope thing. I had texted him that, I hope to get these numbers or whatever it was soon. And he called me back going, hope's not a plan, boy. So, okay, so getting the same advice there as well, which is true. And unfortunately, it is a mindset I've had for a lot of things. And trying to change that it has been a hard journey and something I'm still very much working on, and that my therapist does kind of keep pointing out with me in multiple sessions. That I have said something along the lines of, well, yeah, I'm hoping to reach that point, and she'll just be like, no, don't hope. So yeah, it's definitely a mindset that someone helping me change that mindset is important, because it will hopefully, again, help me go get, there we go, much better words. Again, I keep derailing a little bit in my brain, get to those better, healthier places that I need to be. And so having a therapist to help me along with that has been a great thing, and something I definitely recommend to anyone who is in these same sorts of places that I have been, or even near what I have been. Heck, even if it's not, it's, again, just having, like I said at the beginning, that neutral third-party person to talk to is very nice to have. Yeah, just coming back around to that, because I think it is one of the most important aspects. Even if you do have good friends and a good family, it can be hard to talk to people about that stuff. I know I'm repeating myself from before, but I'm wanting to reiterate it because it is so important to have that person to talk to. And if you can get that from a friend or family, that's great. But, I know that a lot of us have those issues with having that conversation. It's something I've dealt with. Even though, I know I can talk to my family about these things, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So having, again, that neutral third party is great. And again, just to reiterate the other points, it's someone who can help you find out more information, find not necessarily the flaws, but things you might not have thought about, and helping you change your mindset. So yeah, that's really all I've got to say on that, I think. There's been a lot more in therapy and some other stuff that we will actually talk about in more depth in the future, because I will actually want to talk about in future episodes some of those things that I have been working through, some of the events that had occurred in my life that led me to where I got and to where I am now. But, so that's more specifics for future episodes. So for today, I just wanted to talk about therapy and a bit of that journey that I've been on with it. So, yeah, there's that. So about our side quest, well, for this past week, as I've mentioned in my short, it was a success, but with some caveats. I definitely have room for improvement, but I do consider it a success. I did use the apps, the different health apps throughout the week, just not always when I should have. As I mentioned in the short, some days I would forget to log my meals, and then I would be going to bed at night, getting into bed and think to myself, oh crap. And so I have to go grab my phone and put in my meals for the day. So I just need to get better at doing it when the thing happens. So I need to, don't say I need to do it. I'm gonna do it when it's, at those meal times rather than later. Yeah, that oh boy, getting out of that mindset of saying need or hope is gonna be real tough for me. But yes, I'm gonna get better with those apps. I did do it, just not always when I needed to. I said need again. So for this week's side quest, my plan is to actually get that little hydroponic thing behind me going. You may have seen it in the last few videos. It's something I actually bought back at my old place just as things were starting to get bad for me, and I never got around to using it because of that not caring mentality. I just never got around to it. So it's been sitting around for a couple of years now, and I would like to get it going. So my side quest, I'm calling it Green Thumb, and the reason I'm including it on this episode is because, greenery, things growing, is something that is good for you and your mental health, and it's something I actually have talked with my therapist about, that I actually do like gardening. And before I went into my very bad place, I had a little garden. And so I would like to get this little hydroponic thing going to kind of get back to that, and hopefully it'll help out with my mental state, add a little bit of greenery into my new home here, and eventually bear some fruit, which would be quite nice. So that's my goal for this week. That's my side quest. I hope you have been giving yourself your own side quest during this journey. And hey, if you do have a little plot or a balcony that holds some plants, maybe join me on this one. It could be fun, and it's something I maybe will even take some pictures of and post to the community page to show its progress, to see how that all does go. But so hopefully you have given yourself a side quest and you'll be successful with it this week. And that's all I've got. So hopefully you all have enjoyed joining me on this journey today again, and you come back for the next. Until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.